I can't believe you didn't want us to eat food on mic. Was your concern that you didn't want to hear my mouth sounds in close proximity, or that you don't want 17 people listen to this to hear our collective mouth sounds?
Well, if 17 people hear it, then we're going to be down to 13 listeners.
You don't think we have some mouth sounds going on typically?
Wow. I'm going to make you listen to yourself eat, and then you're going to know.
Do you think that in order to make less mouth noise, our mouths need to be wetter or drier? Think carefully about this.
I think they need to be the exact right amount of...
Well, of course, they need to be the exact right amount of moist, but against our baseline.
What I'm saying is I don't think there's a universal.
I think we need to be wetter.
It's CD business. It's CD business.
Well, the reason that I wanted to be eating food on mic is because we have just prepared a chayote, or we spoke of this in the last episode, also known as a merliton.
Yeah.
The squash that sort of looks like a pear that we read a description of out of the Steckler catalog last time, New Orleans catalog. But the next time that Allison was in the grocery store on one of the rare grocery store outings that we have made, she immediately came across chayotes.
Yep. So I bought 2 of them. And then this morning you taste it. We cut one and we tasted it raw, and then you cooked it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've tasted it cooked now.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good squash.
Yeah, I think I don't know, you had seen somewhere that it was characterized as tasting like a zucchini, which is the bane of my summer existence.
Yeah, I predicted you wouldn't like it based on its description of zucchini-like.
Yeah.
Because you truly hate zucchini.
I hate it as an idea as much as a food to eat. But it turns out that I didn't feel like this was anything like a zucchini. I think it was less wet and milder in flavor. I'll post a picture on the Instagram, but when you cut it open, it really does sort of look like a pear internally. It has a very smooth internal texture. When I ate it raw, I think it had more in common with the taste and texture of the non-gel portion of a cucumber.
It's really crunchy. It's even crunchier than a cucumber.
Yeah. It's a little bit water chestnut-y.
Yeah. I think it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I actually liked it raw as much or more than I liked it cooked, and I think it would be good in like a summer salad.
Yeah. So maybe we should figure out how to grow these things.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how great I thought it was. It has a little bit of mild sweetness. So I don't know if there are any other rare or unusual vegetables that we can will into existence by talking about them on mic, and then maybe we can find them in our grocery store.
Yeah, I wonder who is the produce buyer for that store.
Because is this Publix?
It was the Publix closest to our house.
Huh.
Like I went there to pick up a prescription. And I figured since I was already inside, I may as well buy a few things.
Sure. It would make more sense if we were on the Panhandle or the Gulf Coast end of Florida, but I guess they're here too.
I mean, I don't think I'd ever seen them before, but maybe I had and just didn't notice them.
Yeah, I mean, they sort of look like a lumpy pear. You could be forgiven for saying that's an ugly pear.
Usually when I see an unfamiliar vegetable, I want to know what it is. So I'm surprised, but...
Well, maybe we willed it into existence.
Well, should we think of a weird vegetable?
What I want is a pawpaw.
You want a pawpaw?
Yeah.
Man, I don't think those are sold in stores very often.
Oh, keep an eye out, though. There are a couple other quick things I wanted to mention at the outset. One of them is that last weekend, I guess it was, this would have been in mid-August. We're still sort of mid to late August here. We dropped in on the 40th annual Seed Savers Exchange Conference, which of course was not held in person, but was held over a series of Zoom sessions. It was on a Thursday and a Friday, and I think they posted pre-recorded videos for a lot of the sessions in advance. But then on Friday in particular, there were some live sessions, and we We watched one where a panel of folks were talking about seed libraries. They had each worked in developing a seed library in their community, and people got to ask them questions and stuff, and that was really interesting. We thought at some point we might talk about seed libraries or seed vaults also. Then we saw them do a game show.
Yeah, that was really cute.
Yeah, I liked it.
Thought.
The premise was each of the three people on the panel told an unlikely seed story, but only one of them was true, and then a contestant had to guess which was the true one. This is based on a Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me NPR game, as far as I could tell. It was also cute.
I thought it was great, yeah.
And then the keynote was, in fact, given by Owen Taylor and Mira Mitchell of Truelove Seeds, which we profiled back in episode, I don't know what it was, 9 or 10 maybe. And it was a terrific talk.
It really was.
Yeah, I mean, it was thoughtful. It was like intellectually rigorous in a way that, like, it had a sort of the shine of like well done academic anthropology to it.
Yeah, and it was beautifully put together as a talk for Zoom, I think, as well, like for the video conferencing world that we're living in now. It was really well organized and illustrated. And they, I think, did a great job of handing the conversation back and forth to one another. Yeah. The idea of delivering a speech in tandem as a pair instead of two separate speeches. I was wondering how that was going to look, and I think they did a great job with it. Yeah,
they had a lot of good visual things they were able to put up on the screen for Zoom. Owen's the founder of the company, and he sort of talked a lot about the company and its ideology and its development and stuff. And Amira talked a lot about like her personal story and how she, sort of came to understand her own story and her family's story through seeds.
She's one of their farmers.
Right? So it was great. It was also worth noting that a couple weeks ago, Owen from Truelove Seeds I believe it came to be the first person to listen to an episode of this podcast from one of the companies we profiled.
I hope that's true, because it instilled in me a sudden absolute terror that, say, Annie is going to hear me ragging on her
design and
layout.
Well, we love Truelove Seeds and said nothing negative about them, except that I think we just discussed how we found a picture that had feet in it to be off-putting, and Owen messaged us and said, those are actually my feet, and I'll rethink that picture.
Yeah, it was like a beautiful, I don't remember if it was a kale or a Napa cabbage or something between two bare feet.
Yeah.
And I'm not into that presentation.
Yeah. But anyway, their talk was phenomenal. It seems like a great company in a new model for how this work can be done thoughtfully and sustainably. So, carrying on the tradition of Seed Savers Exchange. Wow, Lucy just screamed as though to affirm that. All right, anyway, well, we really enjoyed that conference. It was nice to have some exposure to the people involved in this community, I think.
Well, again, I'll say it made me feel concerned that I'm not going to be able to continue ragging on them in the way that I'd like to, because everyone seemed so very nice.
You have to be true to yourself, though.
Well, this is about
to speak your truth.
This is about ethics in seed catalog journalism. We can't compromise our values.
Yeah, right. Here. All right. Well, what's going on in our garden?
Then let us cultivate our garden. It's the only way to make life endurable.
What's in the garden?
A couple of things. One is there's a tomato plant that has really taken off because it was sort of it's been growing into a bush that is part of the landscaping of our yard. And I guess that partial shade is what it really needed because it's been growing really well and it's been using that bush as a trellis. And it's probably about 10 feet tall now.
What?
It doesn't have any tomatoes on it, but it's growing really big.
What kind of tomato is this?
To be honest, I don't remember anymore, and I didn't label it. I did a very bad job of starting our garden this year, and a bad job of continuing it.
Well, we'll see how we conclude it. Yeah, I mean, it'd be fascinating if it started yielding heavily on this 10-foot plant.
Yeah, so that's doing something. And then we've also had a cucumber really take off that had sort of been growing all summer, but it didn't seem like it was doing that well. And then all of a sudden it grew enormously in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, August compared to July has been even rainier and maybe, I don't know if this is meaningful in the grand scheme of things, but 2 to 3 degrees cooler on average, I would say.
I think that actually is making a big
Maybe
difference.
That combination of things.
So the cucumber plant has taken off and is just covered in flowers.
Oh, awesome.
So maybe we'll actually get some cucumbers.
Well, that would be great because every time we buy cucumbers at the store, we allow them to mold before successfully using all of them, which has been a great source of pain for you.
Yeah, it's very upsetting. This is another reason why I think it's better to grow all your own salad stuff, because how often do you have a plastic bag full of salad greens going bad versus if you could just go outside and
pick what you need. You know, if we buy a bag of salad greens, probably we'll use 2/3 of them in one salad if we're having that as a main dinner part. And then it's like you got 1/3 of a bag of a salad left that you have to figure out what to do with. You can never buy prepackaged stuff in exactly the amount that you will use it.
Yeah. And I actually think in terms of what is cost effective to grow, I think salad stuff is always way up there. Salad greens.
Yeah.
Keeps it from going bad, saves the plastic it would be packaged in. You get the amount that you can actually eat each time. It's fresh. You don't have to worry about E. coli poisoning, which is certainly...
Unless you poison yourself with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually a commercial thing, though.
Sure. I don't know. Lucy's poop is in a invisibly fine layer all over the house, I'm sure.
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, we also had another lawnmower incident.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so the thing is, if we don't mow the lawn at the interval that our neighbor would like, then a guy on a riding lawnmower is going to show up and he will mow over the garden.
Right. It reminds me, and again, like I've mowed a few times, when I didn't think the grass wasn't out of control and I mowed her side. But yeah, I don't know what this magic length is where suddenly a lawnmower man shows up.
To be fair, we had mow the lawn on the calendar for 2 days after the day that this guy showed up.
We were just ready to do it.
So we had apparently agreed with her that it was about time to do it, but there was no consultation. She just had a guy come over and do it. And he once again mowed down my plants. So the garden has really sucked this year. I guess what I need to do is get some rocks or something to put around.
To destroy his lawnmower.
Well, to mark the edge of the garden and prevent him from mowing over it again.
One of the first video games that I remember playing, one of the only video games I remember playing well when I was a kid, was a freeware video game called Ski Free. Do you recall this game?
That sounds familiar.
I mean, wasn't a lot to it content-wise. I don't think there was winning or losing. You're just a skier going down a hill and you got to avoid trees and rocks and stuff. But at some point, the abominable snow monster comes out and you have to try to outrun it, but it'll always catch you eventually. There's no defeating it.
It's
no
just how
winning.
long you can
outrun it. That's sort of how I feel about this lawnmower guy. He shows up at unexpected intervals if you don't outrun him.
I mean, obviously the thing to do would be talk to our neighbor and figure out whether
that sounds unpleasant.
Whether she has some sort of organized plan. Like, is he actually coming at a regular interval we don't know about? Or does she just call him up when she's tired of looking at the grass? I don't know.
And then, of course, he careens around. It's not a controlled mow.
Well, first of all, our lawn is not deserving of a riding mower.
Sure.
It's just not that size. Also, his mower is, I would say, leaking gasoline. The yard smelled heavily of gasoline for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's appetizing. All right, so in an unorthodox twist on how we've organized episodes thus far, we've decided instead of centering this episode around a catalog, we would center it around a vegetable plant and look at that plant in a variety of catalogs. It was sort of inspired maybe by what we did last week with Seed Savers and Burpee, where we looked at same description, multiple catalogs to get a sense of differences in writing style of copy. But I think the choice to do tomatillos was made exclusively because you took a picture of a tomatillo that looks like it has a dick.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you want to see a picture of a tomatillo that looks like it has a dick, you can go to our Instagram and see it.
Yeah, that's Seedy Business on Instagram. No, wait, it's Seedy Business Pod on Instagram. Okay. It's at Seedy Business on Twitter.
You should probably write down what those handles are. This is why
we're thriving.
Wow. How many followers do we have on Instagram?
I don't know, like 15 maybe.
Oh, wow.
It's big.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so it's Seedy Business Pod on Instagram.
Yeah.
And you can see a picture of a tomatillo that looks like it has a dick.
It's sort of, I don't want to get people's expectation too high, but I think it looks like it has balls too.
Well, yeah, that's what makes the dick look like a dick, is like that it kind of has balls.
It looks like an underside shot where you'd be seeing balls too.
Yeah. If it didn't have balls, I wouldn't have been.
Who would even care? Anyway, that's why we decided to do tomatillos today.
Yeah, that's right.
So again, as opposed to the sort of vertical structure of previous episodes where we've looked at a lot of different plants out of one catalog, this is sort of horizontally structured where we're looking at tomatillos in a variety of catalogs. And I think you pulled these.
Yeah.
This is one where we're looking at physical catalogs more than PDFs, so you'll hear a lot of paper crinkling, unfortunately.
I'm going to start with the So True Seed catalog. And first I'm going to read their introduction for the tomatillo catalog.
What year is this?
This is 2018.
2018, So True Seeds.
Another member of the nightshade family, these small delights are hidden inside paper lantern husks that dry and split when mature. Most well known as the main ingredient in salsa verde, these small fruits, which originated in Mexico, are also great for tacos and soups.
One of my fondest food memories, actually, is when Sweston and I lived in Philly. She had a friend who I think has a choir director job at a university somewhere now, maybe in Wisconsin or something. We would go over to his house and he would make a tomatillo salsa that is so delicious. I've thought about reaching back a decade in time after not talking to him and trying to get the recipe, but I remember him like roasting them, right, until they were like blackened and using them as a pretty spicy salsa. But then he also used like, I want to say liquid smoke in it. I don't know if you've ever done anything with that.
I never have.
Yeah, but apparently it can be used tastefully and deliciously because this salsa was amazing.
And I also wanted to read, they have some Seed Savers notes here. Tomatillos have perfect flowers, but are self-incompatible and require cross-pollination by insects in order to set seeds. At least 4 plants should be planted to ensure viable seeds.
What does it mean to have perfect flowers?
So I guess it means they have flowers that are both male and female.
Okay. But they're bad at having sex.
They're not
like
self-fertile.
pandas.
No, so their flowers have produce both pollen and seeds, but they don't the flower doesn't self-fertilize. It has to be fertilized from another plant or at least another flower. Yeah, I don't know the genetics of this particular thing, but I thought this was cool. Tomatillo seeds can be hard to harvest due to their dense flesh. This is easiest to do by putting fruits in a blender with equal parts water and pulsing on low until fruit is mashed. Allowing the mixture to settle will have the seeds sinking to the bottom. So I thought that was a cool tip. They've got some very specific information. It goes on, but I just wanted to share that bit.
I think we've talked more about doing some seed saving potentially, or experimenting with trying to save seeds.
The issue is that we live in a suburban area where we don't have that much space and we can't know what our neighbors might have planted.
Yeah.
So we can't really guarantee how pollination is going to work for any particular plants.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we've saved some seeds in the past. I wouldn't bother with, say, tomatoes, probably.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like it's a great strategy for where we are. But probably if we grow anything even somewhat unusual, we'll be able to save the seed. Okay, so they offer 2 tomatillo types here, and they're just called green and purple. Green. A staple in Mexican cuisine, these versatile fruits have a distinct fresh flavor, good for sauces, salsas, jams, and pies. Can also be used as a substitute for green tomatoes or peppers. Harvest when green fruit breaks through husk. Bushy plants grow 3 to 4 feet and may or may not be trellised.
I do like the drama of it making itself known as ready by bursting through a husk.
Yeah, absolutely. And then purple. This variety is becoming harder to find each year. Striking purple tomatillo tastes sweeter than its green sibling. Harvest when tomatillo is bright purple and breaks through paper husk. Bushy plants produce abundant fruit, slightly larger than a cherry.
Do those stay purple when you cook them?
Oh, I don't know. I assume so.
I mean, it seems like so many things that are purple when you cook them, like it blanches out of them.
Carrots don't. What are you thinking of?
Like green beans.
The green beans definitely do turn green. That's true.
All right. I'm going to read a few from the Spring 2019 Territorial Seed Company catalog. So I'm going to start also with the purple tomatillo. Obviously, we'll be repeating varieties here, but I think that's a feature and not a bug of what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the same varieties are described in different catalogs.
The purple tomatillo. This unusual deep purple tomatillo makes an ideal salsa with its sweet, tart flavor. The plant has striking purple veins in the leaves, and the husks are light green to buff colored. Very decorative as a garnish. We've noticed that after harvest, when husks are completely removed, the skin becomes more uniformly purple. Here's a tomatillo that they call simply Mexican strain.
I mean, that really belongs in our classic game, tomato or weed strain.
Yeah, that's true. A larger tomatillo, averaging 2 inches across, Mexican strain has a more savory flavor than others we've tried. Because of its unique flavor, it is a preferred variety for many Mexican dishes, including salsa verde and chili verde. And then finally, from this catalog, the mil tomate. Open, sprawling bushes are covered with fat, pointed, papery, husked 1-inch fruits. Rich flavor makes this variety great for salsa. We found that the flavor is at its peak when fruit easily falls off the plant when shaken. I like the way the first sentence of that rolls off the tongue, which is, sprawling bushes are covered with fat, pointed, papery, husked. Fat, pointed, papery, husked.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds just like quick little Mary cracks.
Yep, absolutely. Quick Little Mary Cracks is a callback to maybe like the second episode of the show, but is in fact a reference to the dirty letters written between James Joyce and Nora, where he was sexually into her farting and referred to them as Quick Little Mary Cracks.
That's some good English prose, Quick Little Mary Cracks.
The Territorial Seed catalog also pairs tomatillos with ground cherries, which sort of look similar. They're husked also, but I think we're just going to stick with tomatillos.
Wow, you really resent my saying that we should stick with the tomatillos. I pulled out 6 catalogs. I was hoping we'd do the tomatillos in all of them. It just seems like you're going to dilute the tomatillos if you start getting into ground cherries. All right. I mean, they're basically the same thing as far as I'm concerned, but I wanted us to be comparing the same varieties.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read from the 2020 Seed Savers Exchange catalog.
Known winner.
First, I'll read Green Husk. Green Husk, also known as Mexican husk tomato. This variety grows in prolific, bushy plants that are 3 to 4 feet across and almost as tall. Green 2-inch fruits are ripe when they burst through husks. Blend fruits with hot peppers to make the traditional Mexican green sauce known as salsa verde.
So that's neither the green tomatillo nor the Mexican strain, although it's sort of named as both of those.
I think it is the green tomatillo.
Okay.
I think green husk and green are probably the same.
But Mexican strain is yellow and not green.
Yes.
Yeah.
Purple. Dark purple fruits are smaller, 1.5 to 2 inches, and have a sweeter flavor than green tomatillos. Makes an attractive purple salsa, also great grilled. Noticeably less sticky than most tomatillos.
Wow, that's new information.
Yeah.
All 3 descriptions focused on its sweeter tones, but less sticky. That's the first I've heard of that.
Yep.
I guess that's good. They're leading me to believe that stickiness is bad, but why? I don't know that that's an objective truth.
Or maybe depending on what you're looking for, right? Maybe for some dishes you want sweeter and some you want less sweet. And similarly, maybe sometimes you want less sticky. And then I'd like to read one more of their tomatillo descriptions. Purple de milpa. The tomatillo that grows wild in Mexican cornfields, very small, 3/4 inch, purple-tinged fruits, borne on 3 to 4 foot tall plants. Fruit typically does not burst through husk when ripe. Shocking, I know.
Shocking.
Sharp flavor preferred by some cooks over other tomatillos.
Wow. If you didn't know that particular variety ripened before it burst through the husk, that'd be a nasty surprise to be waiting for a bursting that never happened.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to head over to the 2020 Southern Exposure Seed Exchange catalog. This is the one with that we talked about, some episodes back with a bunch of gnomes bathing on the front of it. And actually have some unique varieties in here among those we've read yet, but I will start again with purple, which gets a very terse description here. 1.5 inch fruits ripen to dark purple, sweeter than green. So yeah.
So your baseline is green, and all you know about this one is that it's purple and sweeter than green.
Yeah, and then they're green. They call tomato verde. 1.5 inch fruits ripen to pale yellow green. Tall 4 to 6 foot plants, husks are easy to remove, and fruits are excellent quality. So it seems like they expect all their other descriptions are lengthier than that. It seems like they expect that maybe you know about these green and purple, the ones that everybody carries.
Yeah, I think those are uncharacteristically brief descriptions.
Mm-hmm. I will read the Everona large green. Seed collected by Barbara Rosshold from tomatillos planted by Mexican workers at the Everona Sheep Dairy near Unionville, Virginia. Introduced in 2008 by Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. Finally, a tomatillo that not only has nice large fruits, up to 2.5 inches in diameter, but can handle a Virginia summer and pests and still produce prolifically. Plants thrive even in heavy clay soil and drought. Green fruits, a few with purple blushing. They also carry Dr. Wish's Yellow. From the collection of Dr. John Wish of Hugo, Oklahoma, one of Seed Savers Exchange's earliest members. Our earliest tomatillo and one of our sweetest. Heavy yields of 1.5-inch cheerful yellow fruits, plus an occasional cheerful purple fruit. Which is, I think, a very fun description.
Yeah, I agree. There's actually an entry for the same one for Dr. Wish's Yellow in the Seed Savers Exchange catalog.
Yeah, read that one. We'll see if they talk about how cheerful the fruits are.
Dr. Wish's Yellow. Given to Seed Savers Exchange by Suzanne Ashworth, who obtained the seeds from the late Dr. John Wish. Unique yellow tomatillo with contrasting purple blush, 1.5 inches in diameter. Delicious sweet flavor. Very prolific and easy to grow. So they describe them not as yellow fruits with an occasional purple fruit, but as yellow fruits with some purple blush. Yeah.
And then I'll finally read from this catalog the Cisneros Grande. Large fruits make for easy harvest and processing. Highly productive. Most fruits ripen to yellow, while some stay green throughout. Fruits range from the size of a small lime to a summer apple, though most plants produce the larger fruits. For a tartar salsa, use the bright green fruits while the husk is still green. For a sweet and fruity flavor, wait until the husk dries.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1.
And I'm going to read the introductory material for the tomatillo from this one as well. Also called husk tomato, for the paper-like calyx or husk that encloses each fruit. They are grown much like tomatoes, except that they are seldom staked. They do tend to grow a bit faster from seed than most tomatoes and are a little more tolerant to cold weather. Tomatillos are used in fresh salsas and cooked in any number of sauces, including Mexican-style chili verde. Okay, so first I'll read purple. Beautiful purple fruit, large size. Many are a bright violet color throughout their flesh. Much sweeter than the green types, it can be eaten right off the plant. Turns purple when ripe. Rare.
But how sticky.
It's that sticky icky.
That dank purple.
That dank purple.
Yeah.
And then their description for green. Deep green fruit. A standard, richly flavored type. Huge yields, as with most tomatillos. Pretty skimpy description on the green tomatillo
true.
There.
For something with such huge yields. Didn't yield a huge number of words.
Purple Coban. A flavorful tomatillo that is 1 inch in diameter, being green with varying degrees of purple on many fruit. Very popular in Guatemalan cuisine. We collected this heirloom at Coban, Guatemala, a beautiful mountain town.
Nice.
And perhaps related, tiny from Coban.
Huh.
Here's another variety collected by Jer Gettle on his 2005 trip to Central America and preserved in our seed bank until grown out in 2013. This is a true tomatillo, having the typical husk, but the fruit is smaller, about the diameter of a dime. Fruits ripen to green or purple and are possessed of an unusual savory taste, somewhat different from other tomatillos we sell. That sounds very appealing to me.
It does. And are possessed of an unusual savory taste is a very flowery way of writing that. But
I think it's an rather old-fashioned construction.
It's old-fashioned. Yeah.
But I like it. I like the idea of dime-sized fruits, except I wonder if maybe it's more useful to say in some sort of unit of measure rather than comparing to a football field or a dime.
1/5000th of a football field. And then I guess I'll end here with the last two from Baker Creek. They have the Rio Grande Verde. I guess Rio Grande Verde. This special selection of tomatillo yields large apple-green fruits. The medium-sized determinate plants need no staking. The globe-shaped fruits reach 3 to 4 ounces, very large for a tomatillo, and the yields are very high. Recommended for fresh market. Then finally, the one that gets the largest, glossiest photograph in this catalog is the amarilla. A Polish twist on an old Mexican staple vegetable! ! Immature fruits are green, morphing to pretty yellow as they ripen and begin to split their protective husks. The fruit is firm, juicy, and very sweet, perfect for jams, jellies, and don't forget the salsa. We also love these in the garden for fresh snacking and salads. Bred to thrive in the cooler summer conditions of inland Eastern Europe. Well, that's a departure. Huh?
Yeah.
Tomatillo jam sounds great.
Sure.
So I think that's about the amount of tomatillo descriptions that we can get into this episode here. As far as I could tell, none of the photographs in any of the catalogs of the tomatillos depicted fruits with penises.
Well, I think that makes our photo all the more special.
All the more special. Agreed. Check it out.
But do you think they had to sort through all the tomatillos looking for the ones that didn't?
To remove the ones with penises. Yeah, could be. We'll never know. Sort of fake news, but all right. And then I wanted to hit 2 quick things before we go. One is I guess can be categorized as celebrity garden news. It is Melania Trump's renovation of the Rose Garden has been in the news. Have you read anything about that?
No, I try to avoid knowing about things like that.
Yeah, I mean...
There's enough stuff to be outraged by that is real.
I guess the purpose of the renovation was in their recent egregious violation of the Hatch Act when they wanted to do all kinds of campaign stuff from White House grounds, which they did. Crimes that will go unpunished indefinitely. But yeah, she, I guess, led a big renovation of it. It was roundly mocked by the internet, I guess. I think maybe a bit unfairly. There was actually Snopes had to do an investigation into some of the claims that were being made that she ripped out all the roses planted by all former presidents' wives, which is like not what happened at all. The one big change that was made, though, is the removal of the crabapple trees that I guess were fairly iconic.
Were they replaced with something else?
I think more roses, maybe. So that's a bit divisive. I guess I actually went to read Architectural Digest's take on it to see, because the internet thinks it looks like shit, but that could be there could be some bias to that. And so I thought Architectural Digest would be a little fairer, maybe, about it. And I guess like the design is more muted. It is severe in the way that you recall the picture of the White House Christmas decorations from past few years that looked a little severe is the right word. Well, dystopian, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the goal of all aesthetics from the Trump family is to be as fascist as possible, right?
That's right. That's what I'm getting at.
It's a fascist aesthetic.
It looks
preference.
A little fascist.
Like they're all into that.
Yeah, I forget if it was Architectural Digest that made the point that it looks like a garden not at the White House, but should be at like a Trump resort, I guess, which is probably the final word on that. And then finally, I have to bring up that one of our listeners named Emily sent us a link to a seed website. It's bestseedsonline.com. So not one of the big names in seeds, but it's Best Seeds Online. Here's what this description is labeled. 500-piece bag, rainbow tomato bonsai, rare plants, organic vegetable amp fruit, bonsai potted plant home amp garden. That's what you're buying.
Is the amp, it's an ampersand and
probably.
It's been converted.
It's been converted into a word. It's $9.99. There's no description going along with it, but there are a couple dozen pictures of the most fantastically colored tomatoes that I've like the amount of Photoshop work that's been done here. They look like if Willy Wonka was in a garden instead of a candy factory.
Well, he has that whole garden scene. Mm-hmm. It's like the first place they enter is all the wild candy growing on trees.
Right.
And these fruits are neon, like a true neon cyan and
like one vine,
magenta.
One vine is producing rainbow colored bright neon tomatoes. They're also like, there's something very unsettling about these pictures. Maybe mad science can do it. I don't know what they're sending you when you pay $9.99 for this, but...
Well, the other thing to keep in mind, or the other thing to note, is that when you scroll through all the pictures, which describes as if it's a single type of tomato, besides having, these bright purple fruits and magenta and neon green and whatnot, they have black fruits, regular tomato colored fruits. And then they also have a bunch of fruits of different shapes.
Yeah.
They have like fuchsia long paste tomatoes and neon yellow cherry tomatoes. And then they show a rainbow wheel of elongated paste.
Yeah, I feel like I'm tripping and pear-shaped
tomatoes. They've got they're not just every color, they're every shape. So when you plant these seeds, they're going to be whatever you want them to be.
Yeah,
is what they're
whatever's
telling
in your heart, they'll manifest in the world.
If you want them to be giant beefsteak heirloom tomatoes with cracks in them that are golden yellow, they'll be that. If you want them to be neon green and yellow and fuchsia, they'll be that. If you want them to be pear-shaped, paste tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, they're literally every shape and a bunch of colors that tomatoes cannot be.
There's also like the picture of that guy sort of gazing at them or smelling them halfway down the page where like his face is an uncanny color also.
Well, there are two versions.
One
of that
he's regular colored and in one it like he's jaundiced or whatever filter they put to make the fruits of the plant that wild they also put on his face.
Well, what it looks like is that in the first photo where he's sort of more normal colored, they've photoshopped them to be, magenta and purple and neon green and whatnot. And then in the second version, they put a filter over it to transform them. Like the ones that were magenta are now fuchsia, and the ones that were pink are now back to sort of a normal tomato color.
Just all so weird. I feel like I'm on drugs when I'm looking at this page.
The ones that were neon green are teal. Like they've placed a sort of a green filter over the whole thing.
Yeah. At the bottom of the page, there are some reviews for this option. They received 12 ratings, and their average is 5 out of 5 stars.
All ratings are 5-star reviews.
Yes, correct. All 12 ratings are 5-star reviews. The first customer review reads, "Product is okay." 5 out of 5 stars. One reads, "God." 5 out of 5 stars. I think they meant to write good, but wrote GODD instead of GOOD.
Wait, can I read the next
one?
Yeah. This next one thrills me. Wait and see what comes out the seeds comes.
Yeah. Yeah, I will.
Wait and see are all capitalized. It's vaguely threatening. Wait and see what comes out.
Wait and see what comes out the seeds comes. 5 stars. One is a 5 out of 5 stars that reads, "Thank you for the goods."
Thank you for the goods is
literally the most generic review you can write on the internet. So the question is, what the fuck is this website? What are they trying to pull here? What is even going on?
I truly don't know what's going on.
Maybe we have to do an episode about best seeds online at some point. I will say that on the main, like if you go, Emily had sent this link to that particular listing, but if you go to the main page of Best Seeds Online, the front page of their website, they have a number of listings that you can click right into. They have a listing for a drip irrigation system plant waterer. They have a ultrasonic pest repeller electronic plug thingy. They have a listing you can click into for orchid seeds and for chrysanthemum seeds, chili pepper seeds. And then they have one under their new arrivals section that reads, Modern inflatable air sofa, adult couple love chair.
Love
game chair. It's a sex chair, folks, for adults.
It's an inflatable sex chair.
It's an inflatable sex chair. It comes with 4 red handcuffs
built into it.
Yeah.
So it's inflatable. It's got handles and handcuffs. It's for sex. And I mean, this is clearly generated by an AI because then all of the related products are like an inflatable pool float and an inflatable camping pad and that kind of thing. So it's all sorts of inflatable furniture, but they've pulled an inflatable sex device, which like, okay, if you're going to invest in a $272 piece of furniture for sex,
are you going to buy it on
the inflatable? Yeah, don't buy an inflatable one from Best Seeds Online. That's my advice. That seems like not a great investment.
You can buy it from bestseed.com.
No, it's
like a
cum
nothing. Joke. No,
yeah, it's nothing.
Okay, it's nothing. Anyway, Best Seeds Online. It looks to be out of the Netherlands. Thank you, Emily. We appreciate that.
There's no way this... What is this, really? There's no way this is out of the Netherlands, first of all.
Well, let's look at it in greater detail in a subsequent episode.
All right. Well, just so you know, there's all sorts of weird stuff out there. And if you want us to talk about it, all you have to do is email us because we'll
talk about literally anything.
Yep. We have no standards.
Not at all.
Which is, wait, we shouldn't say that. I don't mean to say this wasn't a great recommendation. Yeah. Love this recommendation. Truly bizarre. Truly.
All right. Well, you can follow us if you're so inclined on Twitter at @CDBusiness, on Instagram at CDBusinessPod. You can write to us at cdbusinesspod@gmail.com. And especially if they're completely psychedelic in color, you should eat your vegetables.
We're all just doing the best we can.
Speak for yourself.
It's CD Business. It's CD Business. Boring talk about seeds, CD talk between pores. Mind-numbing chatter about ovules and spores. We'll take a ditch and we'll moan and split the difference. It's CD Business. It's CD